This video is born out of some frustration that I've had watching Twitch streams. A lot of times what'll happen is someone's learning how to solo Oryx or perhaps do a variant, and then Oryx will enrage and he still has 2 or 3 bombs of health, and the person I'm watching just doesn't know how to deal with that. So they end up wiping, not because they need to, but because they don't know how to deal with enrage. So this video is here just to teach you kind of generally how to enrage Oryx, or how to deal with an enraged Oryx, how to get bombs of damage on him, and a couple of things to look out for while he's enraged. So anyways, without further ado, let's kill this nut and get started. So the first thing to note about Enraged Oryx is that the rounds are different. Essentially they're more compressed versions of the original rounds, and you'll see what I mean here. So Oryx goes to his side like usual, slams his fist like usual, and this is where things get different. First off, you'll notice I'm staying on top of the daughter's plates, and this is because Oryx is going to open his chest and I need to stagger him. But I'm not dragging ogres around, so I don't need to be on the bottom to bait them. And as you can see, there are ogres currently spawning, right? So Oryx is opening his chest, and as his chest is opening, the ogres are spawning. And you'll see here that if I kill an ogre, then a knight is going to spawn. This is even on 290, so even on 290 now you have to deal with Light Eater Knights during Enrage. So that's another thing that's annoying. And then you see there in chat, Oryx regains favor already. It's like, what, 10-15 seconds after I staggered him, and he's already regained favor? So that's what a round of Enrage looks like, and we're gonna have to learn how to deal with that. But first, take a look at this shade here. So while you are dealing with Enraged Oryx, you're going to be going for a lot of rounds. This is no longer a quick fight. You're now going to be going for at least 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds of Enrage. And you're going to be using a lot of ammo in that time, so I strongly recommend learning how to solo Shade with just Touch of Malice. It's fairly easy to do that. You'll see here that what I'm doing is reloading Touch and then emptying Touch into Shade, and then reloading it as soon as Shade teleports, and then emptying Touch again, and reload, and then empty it. And then, once my health gets too low, I just kill 3 Thrall and I get my health back. And then I resume shooting Shade whenever I see the guy, and there he is. And right about now, he's dead. So now that that's done, leaving Shade can be a kind of jarring process when Oryx is enraged, because look at that. Look at all that junk there. There's Knights, there's Acolytes, there's Centurions, there's the Vessel. There's a lot of stuff on the ground. You see here in the back that I am actually killing a Knight, because the Knights don't die when Oryx slams his fist. Everything on the field dies except for the Knights and the Vessel, which means that I have to kill the Knights myself. So, anyway, Oryx slams his fist again, and I have to stagger him again. But then after this is done, I'm going to actually try and get a bomb here. So what I do is I look down for the first ogre. I typically take the back left ogre because that's usually the closest ogre to the back that's up the first. And then you just weaken it and enrage it and pull it back here. Now, little known fact, the stairs are safe from the Vessel and the Knights. The Knights and Vessel will not take bombs on the stairs. You can see that that Knight there just completely ignored that bomb. So if you can drag a bomb there, it's safe. It won't be taken at all. Now you'll notice in this clip here, I jump up to what was plate 1 and then I immediately garrison backwards, because that orb there, the orb that makes you torn between dimensions, will keep you torn between dimensions for the rest of the fight. That means in Shade you will be torn between dimensions, which means you cannot kill Shade, so you'll die to Doxology. And if you pick up the orb after Shade, but before Oryx slams his fist, then you'll be torn when you need to stagger Oryx, which means you won't be able to stagger Oryx. But Val, I hear you say, I have self-res, so let me just kill myself in self-res. Sorry, that doesn't work, because the Torn Between Dimensions somehow manages to latch back onto you after you've died in self-res. So yeah, if you touch that orb, it's a wipe. You literally cannot survive after touching that orb. Anyway, let's skip the rest of the Shade and move on to the next round. One thing to note is that exiting Shade, but before Oryx staggers, is actually one of the most dangerous parts of this fight. Because if you take too much damage, or right as you have to stagger Oryx, then you wipe because you can't stagger Oryx because you've killed yourself with Touch of Malice. So my general rule is that the moment Oryx slams, I need to stop taking damage, because if you take too much damage after Oryx slams, you literally will not have time to regenerate your health, and so you could die to stagger. One other thing to note is that as long as you are standing on the middle of one of the daughter's plates, the Centurion Axion darts actually cannot track to you. They'll get caught on the lip that is on the underside of that daughter's plate, and they won't actually be able to make it up to you. But in the footage here you can see, again, back left ogre, I weakened it, I'm dragging it back, and I'm going to kill it on top of the last bomb. Now I have 2 bombs stacked up. And ordinarily this might be enough for you, however I'm actually going to go for 3 bombs, just to demonstrate the fact that you can do as many as you want. Or if you need to, you could actually just stack up 16 bombs, and that's what we call a challenge mode solo. But to spare your time, let's just fast forward to the detonation round. So here we are, exiting Shade. You'll see that I'm careful not to get torn between dimensions. I jump on the lip of this plate just to be safe. And during a detonation round, you need to do 2 things. Number 1, don't lose a lot of health. Number 2, kill the knights. If either of those are the case, you need to abandon ship essentially and just focus on staggering Oryx. You won't be able to detonate that round. However, here you can see my health is pretty well intact and I'm able to take care of both of the knights. So I go ahead and jump on up to the bombs. Oryx slams, so I pop my bubble, and as Oryx opens his chest, then I step in the bombs, and I stagger Oryx. Then I reload touch and get a few shots on Oryx's chest, but as the chat Valkyrum has detonated, a corrupted light disappears. I sword block the bombs, and now Oryx has taken 3 bombs of damage. Now this demonstration is obviously on a Titan, however you can imagine that a Warlock would have pretty much exactly the same thing. You wouldn't have the bubble to protect you from the vessel. On a Warlock you might want to pay attention to where the vessel is before you try detonating bombs. However, you do have self-res, which means you don't have to worry about sword blocking or managing your health at all on the Warlock. You can afford to just detonate the bombs and then die with them, because you do have self-res, of course. Now, there is one more thing I wanted to cover, which is that when Oryx is enraged, even after you've detonated the last bombs, there are going to be knights, there will be the vessel, there will be ogres, there will be acolytes, centurions on the map, and so during Enraged Oryx, I actually like to stagger from a slightly different spot. Here you can see I'm on the right side of front right plate. There's no damage fall off from here, but it's a lot safer for many ads that might still be on the field, so that's where I like to stagger during Enrage. But anyway, other than that, that's pretty much all you need to know about how to kill Oryx while he's enraged. So thank you for watching and have a nice day.